In the summer, the Fat Controller runs special excursion trains around the island for sightseers. One of these runs out of Brendan Bay, taking in the sights and sounds along Edward's branch line. This year, Emily had been given the job and was doing her best to learn the route and the facts about where she'd be taking the visitors. Salty was pleased for her. What a job, Emily! Getting to take the visitors to all sorts of wonderful places and telling stories all the while.
I'm not going to be telling stories, Salty. I'll be relaying facts.
Aye, but it needs to have a bit of flourish to it, doesn't it?
I won't be mentioning sea monsters, mermaids, or any of your other tall tales. I'll be sticking with the facts and giving the visitors the best but most informative tour I can.
She luffed away to continue preparing. Good luck to her, Salty thought to himself. But you can't beat a good story, eh, Cranky? A good one now, Salty. One of yours? Maybe. Salty just laughed and went back to work. That night he sat awake thinking about Emily's excursion train and how much he loved telling stories. That would be ideal for an engine like me. I never pull passengers, but I know everyone likes my stories. I reckon I'd show the visitors a grand time. But the old diesel knew he had work to do in the harbour yard, and that was more important than any story. A few days later, Emily was back at the harbour waiting for her first excursion passengers. Got your storage ready, Emily? Salty called over.
For the last time, Salty, I'm not telling stories, I'm delivering facts.
Have a good time regardless, me hearty. Just as the passengers were arriving, the harbour master came through with an urgent message. James has failed. He's stopped at Wellsworth and we need another engine to take his train on. You're the nearest engine, Emily. You'll have to do it. Emily was disappointed.
What about my excursion train? I can't let the visitors down.
We can't delay trains either, sighed the harbour master. I'll explain everything to the visitors. Salty overheard the angry passengers and rolled over to see what was the matter. The harbour master explained about Emily taking over for James and how the excursion would have to be cancelled. This gave Salty a grand idea. I could take it instead. I know all the sights and stories. Leave it to me. The harbour master was surprised and a little wary. You, Salty? You've never run a passenger train before. First time for everything, Captain. Better that than letting the visitors down. The harbour master agreed, and after making some last-minute arrangements, Salty was off and running. Emily wanted to give them facts, but I think they'd prefer a story. This gave Salty another idea. I'll give them both. Salty's first stop was the Brendan Bay Lighthouse. 'Twas around here many moons ago on a fierce and stormy night, with the waves crashing and the wind blowing a gale, that one brave soul saved a mighty sailing ship. The visitors were enthralled and gathered around to hear more. Yes, mateys, that poor ship could have been dragged under, but thanks to the quick thinking and hard work to keep that light shining, it's still clear of danger and away from what lies beneath those waves. The visitors were most impressed and went off to explore the lighthouse and the shoreline. Next, he took them to the castle ruins at Sodor. The old castle was once home to kings and queens that ruled over the island. and guided the people who live here. But there was a time when a queen thought she knew best and ended up causing havoc for her subjects. She had to seek out the advice of a wise old sage to get her through this time of trouble. And thanks to him, she was able to set things right and restore order again. I've never read that story before, said one visitor. Well, it depends what kind of books you read, sir. It happened right down there where the shunting yards are. Interesting. I look forward to finding out more about that. Finally, he took the visitors to Gordon's Hill, where they could admire the view of the whole island. Oh, if this old hill could talk, Salty mused. Many have stumbled on their way to the top. In fact, there was one day many moons ago when it stopped a mighty giant and made him humble. And made a humble servant mighty when he came to his rescue. With his help, the mighty giant made it to the top and easily down the other side. The visitors were puzzled. A giant, you say? Yar! And they still roam the island to this day. Giants? They quizzed. On Sodor? Never! But when Murdoch roared past them with a heavy goods train and coasted down the other side of the hill, it all made sense. Salty ended his tour back at the harbour to a chorus of cheers and gratitude from the visitors. They thought it was the best tour ever. But Emily wasn't impressed when she returned to take over the tours.
Rescued ships, queens and old sages, giants,
she fumed crossly.
I have learned all the facts I need to know about this route, and you go off and tell my visitors a bunch of tall tales.
Actually, Emily, they weren't tall tales at all. I did what you wanted and stuck to the facts.
You told them tall tales, Salty!
I told them about the time Fergus kept the lighthouse going with his flywheel. I told them about the time you were queen for a day and caused the pile-up for Percy, Mavis and Toby.
And the mighty giant's being humbled on Gordon's Hill?
Well, Gordon's a big engine. And Edward is one of the most humble engines I know. Emily pondered. Then she laughed. And laughed.
So you were telling the truth and relaying the facts after all?
You're indeed, matey, Salty chuckled. But, like I always say, you can't beat a good story.